Tonight, Natalee Holloway, the American teen who vanished in Aruba in 2005. Her mysterious disappearance is back in the headlines. Now, the Associated Press is reporting that a new witness has come forward. Who is the witness? And where is Joran van der Sloot tonight? Joining us by phone from Aruba is Jossy Mansur, publisher and managing editor of Diario newspaper. Good evening, Jossy. Jossy, the AP is reporting, and I must say that it conflicts with the new information that we've been gathering the last 6 months, but I mean, it's in some ways. But what is the AP reporting about a new witness?
Well, what they're referring to is this Celeste lady that was interviewed by De Vries in the second program that he showed on TV. What they're referring to is that she was a friend of Joran, that 2 or 2.5 years ago, she was with him, she went on the beach with him, that he asked her, what do you think if you suffered the same disappearance of Natalee Holloway? I think everyone is referring to this as new evidence. It really isn't. It was shown on the program of De Vries.
When did she come forward to talk to the authorities?
Well, as far as I know is that she was interviewed by him. I don't know whether she came to the authorities before. Apparently the prosecution in Aruba is saying that why did she wait so long to come forward?
Well, that's not all the prosecution is saying tonight, which leads me to the question of the prosecution. Are they doing anything to investigate this case as far as you can see?
As far as we can see in Aruba, absolutely nothing. All they're saying is, and they're sticking to, is that by the end of the year they will make a decision, a final decision, whether to take the man to court or close the case forever.
Well, they've issued a statement tonight, Hans Mos, the prosecutor, and says in part that they're still trying to investigate every last lead, which frankly is a lie, and I'll talk about that in a second. Where is Joran van der Sloot?
Well, we presume he was last seen in Thailand. After that presentation of the show of De Vries, he disappeared. No one knows where he is.
How about Deepak and Satish Kalpo?
You know, they have played their part extremely well by being so quiet and so silent. I mean, they don't give out any kind of statement, no interviews, nada.
What about Paulus van der Sloot, the father of Joran van der Sloot?
Well, he's practicing law in Aruba. He's representing some people that have confidence in him, and we normally see him in court.
How far, for instance, is Aruba from Venezuela?
15 nautical miles is the nearest point between Aruba and Venezuela.
And do you know, and in terms of boats that night, do you know if any thorough investigation, one that you would have confidence in, has that been done?
No, it hasn't been done. Because that night somebody in the police force told the people handling the radar that controls the boats in the vicinity on the coast of Aruba, told them to put it off.
Jossy, thank you.
Sure.
Joining us by phone is Natalee Holloway's mother, Beth Holloway. Good evening, Beth.
Yes, hi, Greta.
Beth, you know, people haven't heard from you in a long time. But many of our viewers, you know, are anxious to get the answers, anxious for you to get the answers. And the question I get so many times is, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing good. I'm trying to stay busy, and you know, when things like this come up, it's just it is hard. It's very difficult to balance everything and try to you try to feel your way through what's real and what's not real, but I mean, you just try to do it the best you can.
Well, I suppose I should tell the viewers that you know, they know now, at least if they read Greta Wire, that we've been working on this case and working rather aggressively since something we started in June, and I've kept you aware of that, and we're going to air it on Monday. But just sort of focusing on the report tonight from the Associated Press, which is different from the information that we've been working on. Do you get a ton of phone calls the minute these things hit the wires?
I do. And sometimes it catches me off guard. Sometimes I'm not even aware of certain things that are, you know, surfacing in the news because obviously we're not kept very well informed from the prosecuting attorney. So, you know, it's like, and I said, it's just hard to disseminate between what's real and what's not real.
You bring up the prosecutor. The new prosecutor is Hans Mos. He's been new for about 3 years. Has he ever called you, originated a phone call to you?
No, never. No, and he would not. And you know, Greta, it would never be too late. I would love to get a call from him. I mean, I feel as if sometimes we have this self-imposed timeline on justice, but you know, there's not a timeline. It would never be too late for justice for Natalee's case, and I would very much, appreciate any kind of call to receive from him.
Karen Janssen was the original prosecutor, and Hans Mos took over. When she left Aruba, did she call you and sort of tie up loose ends, or did she just sort of vanish from your radar screen?
No, just absolutely vanished. Had no idea she was even leaving so quickly as she did. So, that's always been an issue, just no communication from the prosecuting attorney's office. And, it's just leaves you wondering, where are you? And you hear all this information coming from them saying that they're following up on every lead. Well, that's just simply not true. They are following up on any leads.
Has there been, we said the two prosecutors, have any of the police officers, anybody from Aruba at all contacted you and said we are doing anything on the case at all? Is there any reason for you to believe it's being investigated?
No, absolutely none. No, not at all. Not to any degree.
How hard is this still? It's been, she disappeared in May, and I know that you had a broken heart, every parent I ever talked to, but what's it like day to day?
Well, day to day, if you try to, like I said, trying to have a healthy balance of, still trying to maintain some sense of normalcy in my life as far as still doing, I do a lot of engagements. I was just in North Carolina last week for a women's leadership conference, and and still trying to get back into teaching. But it's hard when it is coming out to where we see the latest with Iran, when he's now coming up in Bangkok and engaging in these activities, and it comes out of nowhere and blindsides you and just totally sends you back to the very beginning of those thoughts. We still haven't made any traction in the investigation of Iran.
Well, I told you that we pledged to try to get the information we could. Because we've kept you abreast that we have a new lead. We have new information. It's either a wild goose chase or it is the answer. But we'll be doing all that hopefully on Monday. But Beth, thank you, and I know you'll be watching Monday.
Yes, and Greta, I would just love to say that, like I said, it's been a long time, but it's never too late for justice. And I'd be good with the Midnight Express prison anywhere for Iran.
Beth, thank you. All right, now, there is some good news. The legal panel is back. Joining us live, not dead, our criminal defense attorneys Michael Cardoza, Ted Williams, and Bernie Grimm. Where you guys been?
We've been campaigning.
We're happy to be back.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's first. I want to start with Hans Mos, who is the new prosecutor, and I'm hard on him tonight. I've called him anything from stupid, liar, anything. But let me tell you, the AP has this new story that they have a witness that's come forward. That's not our new investigation. But in the course of his statement, Hans Mos says that they are still trying to investigate every lead. Now, let me tell you something. The new information we have on videotape in part. I have offered it to Hans Mos. He said he couldn't come to Washington to see it. So I said, I'll meet you halfway in Miami because I think it's something important. He said, I can't do that. I can't take off during the week. I said, I'll give you my weekend. I'll go down and meet you halfway weekend just so that you can use your subpoena power and try to corroborate it. And he says that he doesn't work weekends, and then he's got a vacation coming up. Your thought? Is this a guy following every lead?
Yeah, I guess if I didn't work weekends, my family would be in the homeless shelter. But that's abysmal. You listen to Beth Holloway. You exhaust and you check out every conceivable lead, no matter how idiotic, because they've checked out some idiotic ones in this case. So it's just depressing. And Jossy, who you can take or leave, he used an interesting word. He said indifference, and I think that's where things are now, right, with people. So,
but you're telling me that you have offered to provide a prosecutor who tells the world that this is an open case, that he's investigating information, and he won't.
They're still investigating the leads, is what they say. And I offered to use my own weekend to meet him halfway to show him what we have. It's either is the answer or a wild goose chase, but he should at least investigate.
He should have at least look. Even if he sent one of his underlings down to talk to you, this is utterly ridiculous. It tells us just one thing. They don't give a damn about what happened in May of 2005 on that island, and they're not actively investigating. And they just, by virtue of what you've told us tonight, prove that.
I think it's worse than that they're indifferent. I think that they're actually trying to cover it up. Michael, you're a former prosecutor. If someone came to you and said, I have information, would you say, I don't work weekends, I'm on vacation, I don't have time?
Greta, I got to tell you, all you prosecutors out there listening to the show, quit throwing things at your television right now. Every one of them that's a good prosecutor would, after you hung up the phone, be on a plane to see you in D.C., to see what you had. That's what a real prosecutor would do.